Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Before I get started, first of all the links to my social media are down below. Please do not hesitate to hit me up on any of those social media links. I also left my P.O. box just in case you guys want to write letters. Do people write letters? I feel like it's such a lost art. Um, you know, it was a great way to communicate before the internet came around. So also feel free to write me letters and say, hey, how you doing, type of thing. So um you guys, this is not gonna be like the happy go lucky video I guess you guys might be kind of used to seeing from me more recently. This is something that I've really been wanting to talk about for a really long time. But I had to find the right space in my life to do it for me personally. So if you guys want to hear more about what I'm talking about, do stay tuned and let's talk. Okay, so you guys, from the title, you guys can already tell that this video is about depression and loss. So I'm gonna just share my experience with depression and loss more recently. I've always struggled with depression growing up. It hit me really hard in my mid to late 20s. Um, and a little bit in my early 20s as well. So my whole 20s I experienced it really hard. Um, from like loss of friendships, loss of loved ones, stuff like that. So more recently, you guys know that my grandmother passed almost 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in January. Um, and when she passed, I will always say, she was my second mom. She was the one who I would go to and talk to. She was the one who I would just check on to see how she was doing. She would call me to check on to see how I was doing. I would just spend time with her. You know, she lived like right down the street of where I used to live in Oakland. I would see her often, so it was a luxury that I got to see her as much as I could. I got to spend time with her, all of those things, right? So, I was there in the room with her when she passed. I actually had a dream about it about 2 weeks before she passed away. Cause she did become nonverbal in the end. Um, I know people will say that because of the passing, you're like, just give it time, just give it time. I am one of those people who is like, time don't fix everything. Sometimes things will just linger over your life forever. The loss of her will forever mess with my life. It's times where I am out, and I would normally call her and be like, hey Grammy, you want anything from the store, do you need anything? Or I would just bring her something. I am going to try not to cry through this whole video. But I remember more recently I had something great happen, and I was like, oh, when I called my grandma, and I couldn't. And I remembered why I couldn't. And it made me sad again. And I know people are trying to say, oh, she's in heaven. Of course I know she's in heaven. She has her wings. I know that. But it doesn't make it any easier, especially if you're really close with that person who passed. As you guys know, when I was 12, my cousin killed himself. And that hit me really hard too, because he was just always a good person to me. He was always really sweet. He was always like, kind to me. So he never made me feel like he was sad. And that's why I say you don't know what somebody's going through. But back to my grandmother kind of thing. That took me out. I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought I was gonna die from a broken heart. Like, I didn't think I would make it through. It took a lot of prayers, a lot of me wondering if I will ever cope, if I would ever be okay. I spent so much time with her. It was the biggest loss because I spent so much time with her. And I had to watch my mom lose her other best friend as well. It was just really hard for us as a family to go through, and it did not help that after that we kind of fell apart as a family. She was definitely the glue. And her other son died literally, I think, about 6 months after she passed away. So it was just like a lot of loss at once. It was a lot of turmoil. It was a lot of disagreements. Um, and just knowing that there's going to be these big things that happen in my life and she's not going to physically be there, I just have to cope with. You know what I'm saying? And I I talked to a couple people. I talked to Christina. I hope that she doesn't mind that I shared this, but I believe she lost her mom around the time that I lost my grandmother. And I remember just feeling so bad that she lost her mom, you know? But I also remember feeling like, unfortunately, her and my mom could relate to each other. That is not something I would ever wish on anyone at all. And in that time of loss, all you can do is pray for someone, because whew, all you can do is pray for them, you know. And I know people are like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, when you're in grief, grief makes you do crazy things. I I know people were like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I remember getting annoyed with people because they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and it's just like, "Why are you sorry? You didn't do it. Like, you didn't take her life away." But grief makes you feel like angry. For me, grief made me feel angry at everything. But at the same time, I had to be there for my mom. I didn't want her to feel alone or abandoned. And I remember she would like lash out sometimes for no reason. And I knew why. I knew she was upset because she couldn't talk to her other best friend. She was like, she didn't know what to do. I remember at the funeral, I didn't want to go. I felt like, like, and I didn't want to go. I was like, I didn't want to go because it made it real, because it made it official. I didn't want to deal with it. Even though I was there when she was passed, I didn't want to sit in the room with her casket and watch these people say things like, "Oh, well, we're gonna miss you" and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like, why do I have to miss my grandmother? Like, what did she do? You know? And those are the things that I started to think about as as just a person, just being me. That's why I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak from my experience as what I've been through. And just know that some things you're not going to get over. And that's okay. That is part of life. That is how we move forward. But at the same time, I know my Grammy, the person she was, she didn't want us crying over her, even when she was living. She would be like, "Don't cry over me, girl. I'm fine." And she would want us to move on and live our lives. And it is much easier said than done. Especially now that I just have to sit in this loss. I just have to sit in it. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It makes me feel like I'm crazy. Like, I'm like thinking about calling her, or going to go visit her, or I miss her, or I want to sit with her. And I remember hearing someone complain about their grandmother, like, "Oh, she's getting on my nerves, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, I would pay money, like all the money I had in the world, to sit with my grandmother again. I would pay. I would take 5 years off my life to sit with her again. Not having her here has impacted everything. You never know how much of a glue someone is to the family until they're not there anymore. And it sucks. So I'm here to tell you that sometimes, no, it doesn't get better. No, it's not always okay. And when you grieve, just grieve. I tried to deny my grieving for a long time. Number one, because I didn't want to accept it. And number two, I was like, well, maybe if I just, at the time I was pushing out videos like every day, every other day. And I was like, maybe if I do that, it'll be like a diary. Maybe it'll be like, it'll just come out and it'll be okay, you know? But that actually made my depression worse because I wasn't dealing with the situation. So when I would get off camera, I would bawl, I would cry for hours, you guys. Like, I've cried myself to sleep so many times. And it almost feels like somebody's trying to rip your heart out of your body while you're still awake. And it's just the worst feeling, but it's like, it feels horrible. It feels horrible. And it's just like the world shut down. Colors lose their vibrance. Everything is affected, for me at least. Words don't sound the same. Music has no oomph to it. Nothing is the same. So it took me a really long time to even really want to listen to music again. And you guys know I love music. Like, I love music. Um, you know, by the grace of God and just having good friends and my mom, we've been definitely leaning on each other through this whole process. It's still some days where we don't know whether to go up or down or in and out or what, but we know that we have to be there for each other because we are literally, you know, family, and we love each other. So, but I did do this video because there are some people who maybe haven't figured it out, maybe haven't felt like, oh, I'm never going to get over this, or maybe have. Um, and that's okay. It's your process. Don't let don't let anyone or society or anybody's feelings make you feel like you need to grieve faster or get over a loss faster. That's not their job. That's not their responsibility. It is really, really, really your time, your process, and however you heal. No one can tell you how to heal. No one. So if you need years to heal, take your years. Take your time to heal. Do what you have to do and heal. And just know that, yes, you might always think about it and get sad. And that's okay. That's all right. Like, that person, especially if that person impacted your life positively and was always there for you and loved you, and just like, it messes with me with my grandma now, because whenever I would walk in the room, I would tell people all the time, like, she made me feel like I was the only grandchild. And I know that sounds weird, but she did that when all of us walked in the room. Her face just lit up. She was just loving. I miss the sound of her voice. I miss her laugh. I would always sit there and hold her hand. I miss the way her hands feel. Like, little stuff like that. You're gonna miss that. You're gonna miss doing that kind of stuff. You're gonna miss that connection. Um, and all I can personally do is hope and pray that she sees me and she's like proud of me, like, and she's happy with what I'm trying to do. That she sees me and she understands why I got depressed. And she understands that I just needed her there physically. But I knew that if she stayed, she would be in a lot of pain. So her going means that she's in no more pain. Okay. But then it turned into my pain. So just don't let anyone make you feel like you have to process something faster. You really, really don't. I am just getting to a point right now in my life where I'm not crying every single time I pick up the phone to call her, or every time I go to sleep or lay down. And it's a process. Some days I get mad. Some days I feel like it's not fair. Um, some days I'm thankful for the time I got to spend with her, and some days I feel like it's really messed up that she's not here. So, me and God, we have these conversations, and I tell him, and we talk it out, and that's all I can really do. I hope if I have children, she comes to visit them. I really do hope that. I really do hope that some way or another her presence is felt by them. Um, but yeah, you guys, I just really want you guys to understand something, that your process is just that. Depression does not make you weak. Loss does not make you weak. Um, it makes you a human being. It makes you someone who has feelings. Um, and loss hurts everyone. it hurts everybody. So I really hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from. I hope no one gets offended, because this is not the type of video. It's just to say that it's not going to always be okay. You're not going to always feel great. And that's fine. Just deal with it. Just take it in and process it. And, you know, deal with it however you choose to deal with it. But honestly, I'm praying for anybody who has had any loss. That could be, material loss, emotional, physical, loss in their relationships, friendships, anything. I'm just praying for you guys. I'm sending positive energy out, because I know that it's a lot going on in this world. And on top of that, you don't need someone to judge you for feeling sad about losing someone. So I'm just going to end this video here. You guys stay safe and just keep being amazing. And I will see you guys next time.